Garnish Music. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to give a shout out to the Garnish Music Network for having us out weekly on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And today we're going to be getting into how to set up Ableton for a live show, being in the studio doing pre-production. And also, the two ways that I was thinking of is sound effects, such as, bringing in different noises, such as West Coast Wednesday. Yes. I just want to do a little example here that you can do it through OBS as well. It's a shortcut where your Akai MPK Mini or your hardware device can be triggering a one hit or a loop. So that's what we're going to do today, and we can try and get those crowds really cheering for you. That's what we want to do. All right. If you guys have any questions, go to sf@garnishmusicproduction.com, or you can also comment here. Please click below, like, and subscribe, and we look forward to hearing from you guys. We have our Academy, producer program, and short workshops going on year-round, and we'll just get into it right now. So here we are in our program, Digital Audio Workstation, Ableton Live 11. And what I have here is session view. I will try and use my mouse as much as possible, but I do have a push 2 in front of me that kind of makes things a little bit easier and quicker for me. So if you ever see something just happen behind the scenes, it's probably because I'm pushing the push 2. Highly recommend getting that. It's the only device that Ableton has created, hardware device, and it automatically syncs up all of everything you need. But I'll try and explain it every time I'm doing something so you guys can kind of see what's going on. So just a brief breakdown here. I'm in session view and I have scenes going across. And what I want to do is create some backing track possibilities for a show coming up. And to organize a show, you want to know your different BPMs that you want to do at your live show ahead of time. You might want to have a click track in your ear or have a way to sync your digital audio workstation to your live playing. There's a lot of different ways of having a tap tempo by your foot you can do, possibly just right here, having a tap tempo, and it can bring it in depending on where you're at. I personally like to set my tempo ahead of time and have a click track in my ear if possible, or just have some type of clicking sound come in before so I can kind of play or loop along to something. This was done specifically for a show that's coming up in November. Honey of the Heart is contracted to do a Leonard Cohen tribute show November 4th. It's a Thursday evening in San Francisco, if you guys are ever interested. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring in here our set list, because I think this is a pretty important part of the pre-production. It's organizing your set and just really understanding, what you want to do and how you want to do it. Okay. Similar to session view, right? We can have our songs listed just like this going down. If I was to go back into Ableton, right, I could put in Sisters of Mercy right on the top here in our master. Rename Sisters of Mercy, right? And have that right there. If I expand this out, it also has the BPM. And whether you're in 6/8 or 4/4 or some other odd time signature, you can change that up right here. So for this specific set list, let's go back to that set now. This is a lot of acoustic music, but I do want to bring in a few little mashups of being able to loop and bring in some sound effects, maybe some transition sounds. One that we were kind of inspired by is this Who by Fire, and doing some kind of loop mashup with it. I have to know the key, the BPM, and then start messing around with it in Ableton. So I have links in here to the lyrics and notes, and then also looks like the audio clip from a YouTube. Another way that we could do this is there's a cover of this song that we kind of liked. And let's just see if we can get into that. We have a Spotify playlist to go into. We'll open it in Spotify. All right. Who by Fire. Let's look down here and see where this is. Okay, $1.65. They're going to make me log in right now. All right, I thought I already was logged in. It's all right, here we go.
And who by fire, who by water, who in the sunshine,
So,
who in the nighttime,
pretty acoustic,
by higher deal,
but there's just certain moments.
who by bar
The bass comes in.
and who by brave ascent, who
Couple sound effects, just low down with some kicks.
in solitude, who in this mirror, and who by his lady's command.
All right. Interesting vocals. And so obviously it's kind of minimal, that cover right there. But what we want to do is, let's go back and go into our session here. And this is something that I knew is about 75 BPM, so I brought it over here. We can also now put this in and say 75 BPM for anything that we want to stay at 75. Okay. And we can copy and paste this down. Nope, we'll just have to manually do that. All right. So these are different scenes right here. When I did this first beatboxing, I think I was at 90 BPM. And let's see if we can even see that anywhere. All right, 90 BPM, you can see it right down here, right? So this is kind of warped quite a bit. It's 15 BPM down to really get it to this area. If we wanted less kind of warping sounds, maybe you can go to Complex or Complex Pro.
West Coast.
All right. So I actually wanted to do another little demonstration here because you guys just heard, right, in this show, hopefully you guys heard, let's try this one more time because doing a one hit, right? This is how you can trigger sound effects so that at a live show, for example, I want a chorus of myself saying West Coast Wednesdays with a drum fill and a big horn, like a foghorn or something. Okay, so what I did here is I came into Ableton and I was in arrangement view for this. I'm going to close this down for now. And I just brought in some samples that I wanted, right? So we have a drum fill, and then we had this bully finge air horn, it was called. And then I said West Coast Wednesdays at 2 different pitches. Let's just listen to this for a second.
West Coast Wednesday.
Right? So the same thing at a live show is that if you're doing your performance and you want to be able to put that in, you want to put it on a trigger on your Akai MPK Mini and be able to say West Coast Wednesdays, right? And then have that break happen and be able to continue with your show. What happens is that it plays and it's a one hit, so it doesn't come back again. If it's in loop mode, it will just continue playing. Another aspect of that is that you might want to have a loop at times. Okay. So, and this is a way that you can actually incorporate the arrangement view and session view into your playing, because depending on where you're at on your arrangement, you can have this trigger in. Okay. So I'm going to go past this point right here so that when I'm playing, it's not going to play that over there. So I can show you guys just that one part. So this was done with a wireless. I could hear a little bit of a click in the background. I hear someone talking, but I got the idea out, right? So what I want to do now is, if this is the beatbox that I want, is I want to emulate this one more time. Let's see what effects I have on this. Pretty basic compression and EQ. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this over. I have a different microphone now as well, so I'm going to take that into account when I do this. And I'm going to record onto this channel here. I can go ahead and delete these scenes, and I will record this as V3 beatbox overdub. All right, it was in auto mode. Channel 1 and 2 is actually everything being sent so you guys can hear it out there. I'm going to go into channel 11, which is this microphone. It's the SMB7, quite popular microphone for podcasts, etc. And so let's go ahead and try this out. So I'm going to put the BPM click on. It's at 75. I'm going to stop all. This is the stop all button right here. You can also press Shift Stop Clip, which is a trick on the push 2. And we're going to go ahead and listen in here. Notice that my cue out is set to 1-2, master out 1-2, so we will hear it on the same mix. So whatever I hear, you will hear. That's pretty loud, so I'll bring that back for everyone. And notice how I'm going to bring my face up here so you guys can see that whole loop. Let's go ahead and quantize this. And let's go ahead and just get part of this. And now we can duplicate this down and zero out, selecting these, right? I'm using the shift button, right? If I select one, select the bottom one by holding down shift and pressing 0. Let's try this out on the next clip. And we have some of our sound effects happening. Turn off the click now. All right, we have some panning going on. I want to make sure that you guys can hear all this panning as well, because that's something that you want to have for your live set. It looks like everything is in stereo for you guys. Make sure that you're routing things through your audio interface in a way that doesn't take away the panning capabilities of Ableton, right? There's a lot of stereo effects with your fade to gray, your delays, throwing a 3-4 delay back and forth, left, right, and you want to hear that. So really having a stereo out for your live set is pretty important out of your audio interface. I really would encourage you to use a separate cue out, maybe cue out 3-4. If you don't have all these options, it's because your audio interface may not have the capacities to do more outputs. It'll only show up here if your configuration, let's just go into this configuration really quick. Your output configuration is highlighted to show up. I just got a Focusrite, I think it's a 4 in, 4 out, so that I can have something smaller than my X32 rack or my XR18 for shows, or doing something on the road, and just having just a 1-2 and a 3-4 out. Stereo output 1-2, 3-4. That's enough to have your click track or be able to sample tracks in the background and not have the audience hear it. So you can do a lot of transitions, or even some talk down thing, right? Where it says, all right, in 4, 3, 2, 1, and then something happens. So there's a possibility of that happening in your wireless headphones if you're doing a theatrical performance, so you can actually do a movement when something comes out. That talkback track, let's go ahead and just talk about the talkback track right now. Let's go ahead and put one in. So if I wanted a specific sound to happen on 4, 3, 2, 1, okay? Let's go ahead and get this going on. We're going to automate something. So we're going to change scenes and a follow action to take place. So I'm going to go back to the click track. I'm going to play this click track. Everything else is stop clip. 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 1. 4, 2, 3, 1. 4, 2, 3, 1. Now notice how this can be external out, anything you want. I'm going to change this external out to be 3, 4, right? If let's say we're using 3, 4 as our external out. I'm hearing it on here because I have it in my headphone. Now I can bring it up in your mix as well. 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. 4, 2, 3, 1. Right? 4, 2, 3, 1. So this is one that I want to take off loop mode, and we want to cue something at that point. Okay? And I noticed that there's nothing over here like the bullhorn. Let's make sure the bullhorn in our whole group takes place. This is audio. I'll rename this group audio. I'm doing all capitals because anytime it's a group, I make all capitals, makes it nice and easy to remember. Vocals. I don't need to say audio. There we go. All right. And we'll do this right now too, changing our names up. I often do this before I record. I put these in with maybe the song name so that if you ever have an issue of finding it in the future, you can actually search for V2 or V1 with the song name. You can also see on the very top here, I'll bring this down a little bit so you can see that I've saved this save as, and I titled it Leonard Cohen Hoth, Honey of the Heart. And I do different versions of it. I'll do 01, 02, 03 versions. I know there's an automatic saving backup, but I like to do that every time I work, that there's a version. You can also look at the date as the most recent thing as well to see what you're working with. But always saving your work right off the bat in the specific location you want is a great idea. So this talk down of 4, 2, 3, 1. We want that to be really precise. So I want to quantize this. Command-Shift-U. Let's go ahead and go down here. Select all. Command-Shift-U. And press OK. And notice how these are all lined up now. Okay. It really doesn't need to be that precise. But if you guys wanted to have that quantization, there it is. Pressing Tab back over to our view here. It's grayed out because we're in session view currently. If I just click on, I'll show you this. Oh, keep having to move my head. So there's a function over here that, do this one more time. 4, 2. So right here, when this is grayed out, this is in this orange mode. If you want to engage the arrangement view to here, click that. Okay. And this is where I want to have these begin. So I'm going to copy these. I'm noticing that my top channel is this drum 2087. So when I try and paste it in, Command V, if I paste it here, it's going to be in the wrong position. I want to be on the 2087 first position, Command V, and there it is. But I accidentally put it on the same scene, and I want to go down one scene. Okay, so this is going to be renamed to our count in, and we're going to bring this into our next part here. So now when I go count in, okay, notice on the bottom left-hand side, there's this area. You can see the name of it up here, and there's a follow action. So you're going to go ahead and press follow action, and next, you're going to play the next after one measure. Okay, you can also say 4 beats, but one measure is great. I'll just do next. All right. You can also delay this action time, or that's cool. I think that's A/B switch. This is a little bit different than Ableton 10, right? You can actually on Ableton 10 go individually to each scene here and change the action, but this definitely makes the most sense. Once you do a follow action, this little start button here has these little, I'm not sure if you guys can see this, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So right there, you can kind of see that it has a different look to it, right? There's little 3 things in there. That's describing that it is in a position to follow. So now I go and count off 4, 2, 3, 1. Oh my gosh. And I just realized I didn't even count in the right order. Let me just redo that really quick. It's as easy as chung, chung, chung. And if I want to do this with a little 1 bar click in, I'll change that up and let's try this. Up. And we already have our follow action. Let's take that follow action off and 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3. Good. And we will quantize. Ba-bung. 4, 3, 2, 1. And that quantize really didn't sound that good. Complex Pro. Let's try that one more time. 4, 3. That really pulled that over, huh? There we go. So sometimes a quantize, what it was doing there, it was picking up some areas that I actually would prefer not. And if you can actually go in and see this, it's set to quantize to the 8th note. You might want to change this to quantize to the 16th note. It depends on, or even the quarter note, right? So let's actually try that out. I think because I'm actually doing this to a quarter note, we're going to take quantize off. And then let's go ahead and redo the slot recording. All right. So Command Shift U. Make sure you're highlighting the right thing. Okay. And Command Shift U. And I'm going to go quantize to the quarter note. Okay. Check that out. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3. Much better, right? Because we're doing the quarter note. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3. Notice how Complex Pro is a little bit cleaner. So you can change these, right, depending on 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a little bit kind of spotty. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's kind of changing the pitch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. So there we go. So now we're back into our count. We're going to change our follow action. And here we go. So this is the spot where it gives you some time. Like you might be doing some type of movement on the stage and you press your cue point here. Let's say it's triggered, Command M. We want to trigger this with a specific function. So let's try this out. I'll go. So what I did is I pressed Command M and my Kai MPK Mini in front of me. I pressed one of the trigger pads so that we can trigger that, and then Command M again, it goes away. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so notice how it created a few things that we want to make sure that we don't do, which is this doesn't need to be in record mode anymore, so we're not going to record on the next one. Another thing you could do is select and remove the record or stop buttons if you kind of want this to be like a live effects track. If you do want it to be a live effects track, you would go into auto mode and then be able to throw your different effects. Just like that. Let's go back though. Excuse me. Yeah, let's go back and do this other part here. There was a delay in there, and I'm going to talk about how to take that latency out of your effects if you want to use the effects as well. So in here, notice how you can select multiple and you press unloop. Okay, this means that it will just play one time. You can also bring these down in volume. That was a little bit louder than I needed. So here we go. Pressing, I don't need to press that play. I'm going to press my button over here. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And this is a moment that if you do take away your stop button in this area, it won't know where to go, right? When you say follow next action, it's like there was nothing to follow up with. So setting up your scenes to be exactly what you want so it doesn't do that at a live show is super important. So that's why we're doing these tests right now. Let's try this again. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so this is a spot where you can have no click at all in. You can be doing some type of like free flow sounds. Let's just go into volume. It's actually, honestly, I don't think I'd probably use that. Maybe something else. I want to go ahead and make a sound, just kind of an ambient sound for a while here. So Command-Shift-T to create a new MIDI track. And then I'm going to drop in an instrument. Okay. Okay, let's try this one. Dun, 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 dun. All right, anyway, so you're making something that doesn't really have rhythm. And then you want to cue something, and we go. 4. And a couple things here that we want to take out. Remove stop buttons here. We do not want our bar count in anymore. We want none count in. Okay, so let's try this again. No count in, because we want that to hit right away. So, right, maybe you're just doing sound effects for the dancer. The dancer has something in their ear, so a wireless in their ear, so that at a certain moment, everything stops. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? And that comes in. So the same thing happens for OBS, right? Which is an OBS project. This is how I'm streaming out to you guys right now with the T5 camera in front of me and the ability to switch between scenes. And let's go back and make sure that you guys can hear this. I'll go West Coast Wednesdays. You guys can hear the effects. I can also have the audience coming through. So these are different things that was created in OBS. It's some visuals. You can do visuals in Ableton, but I also like to use Final Cut for that matter. And I'm just going to go in just briefly into Final Cut because it is a great, pretty inexpensive tool. I think it's like $200 to get the most updated version. So in Final Cut, to get just part of this out, here's the audience sound. Notice how there's a green above, and that way I could chroma key out and then put anything above the top, which is the live video. So that's just one thing I wanted to share with that aspect of it. The sound effects of when the crowd was starting and stopping wasn't exactly where I wanted. So I came in to Ableton, right? Ableton is obviously the best for sound design. And then probably the visual would be Final Cut. You can actually put in different things, video effects into Ableton as well. So here's the sounds that we have currently. And let's say I want to go ahead and put a video. Let's say you have a projector behind you for a show. I'm going to create a new audio track. And I need to go into the file that has this. So I'll just show you kind of how I like to organize things myself. Okay, I have my 5 terabyte drive, active folders. Okay, so I have my garnish stuff, and then I created it in my commercial. And looks like audio and video, right? So boom. So we can have that right there. So you can kind of now see, notice how a big screen pops up. I'll bring it down here so you guys can also see it. So we have that visual of how it sounds with the audience potentially, if we put these two together, right? So, and let's say I want to shorten this a little bit, shorten it, and I can cut this out a tad bit, make that a little bit steeper of a curve, and let's play that.
West Coast Wednesday.
All right. So I like that change up, right? It has a little bit more energy to it. So let's go ahead and render that. I'm going to move this screen up to a different area so we can kind of just see this clearly. And this is what I'm going to end up doing here. I'm highlighting a whole area. I put a start little spot and an end spot. I often name these. Command R, I click on it and I say start. And then here I go Command R, stop. I don't always have to do that, but it's nice to kind of know what we're working with. It doesn't matter which area that you select, because what we're doing here is we're just going to select that general arrangement view. And then we're going to press Command Shift R, or you can go to your file render, export, and notice how I have a video out and this wave out. Okay, I'm not doing MP3 at the moment. I do want to do the video because this is actually something I want to bring into the OBS and see if we can, you know, set up this live stream little addition. And this is kind of using the effects of audio and video in Ableton, right? So, but like I said, I did get the help of Final Cut here a little bit. So I'm going to name this West Coast Audio Video Crowd 02. Okay, so I already did one of these, so I'm going to make sure I know the crowd. Right, here's the other one. I'm just going to go ahead and save that. It's a pretty quick save because it's such a short file, right? And now, you know what? This is going to be kind of weird, but I might as well do it. We're going to go in and, okay, you guys now see my behind the scenes, what it looks like, what I'm doing with OBS here. And it's going to look kind of weird here for a second because it's just going into the ethers, right? All the way through here because my screen is sharing what's here. And what I want to be able to put in is when I get into this next mode, boom.
West Coast Wednesday.
You hear the West Coast Wednesdays. What I'm going to want to do now is change out this audio clip 1, double clicking it, and I'm going to browse for a new one. And it looks like right there, West Coast Wednesdays 2. Open that up, press OK.
West Coast Wednesday.
we have that green area. And it's looping. So what I want to do is, I don't want to loop that. Show nothing when playback ends. Start playback when it begins. Okay.
West Coast.
All right. So you guys aren't totally seeing all of these things at the moment. Let me just go back to my other view and see if, yeah. So what I'm doing here, well, I'm not sure if you guys will actually see this because I can't do both at the same time. But essentially, I'm going to go back into the West Coast Wednesdays scene and change that.
West Coast
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
The change crowd, but you're now getting the effects that we just put in. Okay, we need to change this filter and put in chroma key. All right. And there we are with it. And we want to get that audience down there. Okay, you guys can see what's up here. We have our West Coast Wednesdays showing our SF Garnish School. Woo, my hair is just super crazy today. I don't know what I'm doing with that. All right. So when I go back in here and I'm talking to you guys and I want to have that cue up point, I have this on my keyboard set right now in front of me. And I'm going to say West Coast Wednesdays. And the crowd is cheering. It's a little bit loud. I can change that and bring that down in volume a little bit. And looks like the crowd just stays there. I can also have them disappear at the very end. That could be a cool idea. But now we're going back in here and let's go ahead and get away from that view for a second. All right, so you guys now are seeing Ableton again. So you guys got a little tidbit of OBS and behind the scenes of West Coast Wednesdays as I set that up. And happy to answer questions about Final Cut and OBS as well. Because if you do get into some editing of a show, Ableton is taking care of most of the audio. It can also do lighting, right? So any automations of the lights, panning, flashing LEDs, it can do the same thing with cue points. Now what we did is we had this just play that one hit, right? And I'm going to go ahead and just take this one out for now. So I don't want the video to play anymore. So I just muted it right here. And so one more time, I will just do this cue point into the West Coast Wednesdays. So, little bit, so you guys can see that one more time. And obviously, what you're hearing of this count is going to be in your ear or in the production team's ear, and the crowd is not going to hear it. They're just going to hear the big bully finger horn thing, and then also the drum fill at that moment. All right, so here we go. And pressing 3, 2, 1, and action. Right. So our talkback is going to be in this area. We want to name our talkback something good. Okay. So this won't be talkback. This will be cue headphones. All right. And I like that probably organized way over here on this side. So we have a few different scenes coming through here for this song, Who by Fire, which is a Leonard Cohen tune. It's going to, hopefully we'll have some backing tracks for. And when I say backing tracks, it's also going to be the possibility of looping. And I just did a whole session on looping at an event here in person in Grass Valley. And I'll be doing more of those if you guys are interested, online and in person. Looping you can do through an external hardware device. I use different ones, Boss or the TC Helicon Voice Live 3. And the one thing that I like about the TC Helicon is that there's zero latency. It has effects built into it, and you can USB sync beats and making the master beat be Ableton, and then the slave beat, what follows it, being the pedal. So that when you mute your BPM on your foot pedal, the TC Helicon 3, it then reads what is up here. And when I press start and stop and loop, it's following the click track up here. You can also do external press link. And if you're on the same network, another Ableton can come in from a different computer through a different audio interface and then send out to the main board for your show. And they could be doing their own loops on top of your loops or backing track type stuff. I really like the idea of just having these tracks, if they come in, as kind of just a different feel. But overall, I like being able to do things live with the looping and the effects. So I was just talking about the audio interface Voice Live 3. It is audio interface as well. You can do that. But it's the hardware that the vocals or guitar is coming through for looping. But you can also come in here and do looping within the program. And I'll just get into this just briefly today. We have about 20 more minutes. Okay, rename. So this is Vocal 1 Live, and it's not a group, so I'll lowercase it. And I'll record enable. Now I want to make sure that this is in the right channel. This is 11. So when I turn this on, we're both hearing a little bit of a delay going on, and that's happening because we're listening to a few different things. We're listening to the live track, and we're listening to the track right over here. Let's even turn this up so we can really accentuate that a little bit more, so we can just hear how much delay we're dealing with, and then we're going to fix that delay. Let me go into my racks here, and drop that in. Okay, so this one on this rack, I have a 10 dB increase. So you guys can hear this on this utility down here. And this is so delayed that it's not going to work for a live show. How I'm going to fix this, okay? Noticing that our CPU usage up here in the upper right-hand corner is at 3%, super good. The reason why it's so good is that on our preferences, command, comma, we have this set to latency buffer size 1024, 1024. Let's go ahead and move this down. All right. And now it still has a little bit of a delay, but it's sounding a little bit different, right? It has more of a chorus effect. So to really get rid of this, you're not going to be able to see this because I don't have it up on the screen. Well, let's see if I could just bring it up on the screen. Oh, I guess if to make this X32 connect, I have to disconnect my network. It's on a different network. So essentially, I'm controlling it right via iPad right here. And what I'm going to do is drop the microphone level so that we're only hearing Ableton. So now that's a way to really clean up your vocals, right? So, oops, there we go. I didn't mean to go into that. Bonk. Come back. So now this is a way that at a live show, you can have your clean live vocals coming through this area, and you can do whatever you want with them, right? You can have your EQ coming on here, and you can really hear that difference in the vocals, right? You can start really dialing your cue point and where you want your vocal to stand out. Noticing, I think that kind of around this over here, I kind of want to make this pull down a little bit, clean it up. And then this whole area, I want to kind of bring this in a nice upward area here, because this is kind of making my clean voice. And so this is a moment when we have these effects in here. Our CPU usage is still very low. It's 8% because this is a pretty simple session. We don't have too many tracks going on. But I want to start putting vocal effects onto here. So I'm going to go in here, and I have one vocal effect that I really like. This is a preset. And here it is, okay? So I'm gonna move my head one more time so you guys can really see what's going on here. Okay, so here we are. I have fade to gray. I have pump, beat masher. So these are all different DJ effects that I like to use on my vocals sometimes, right? Because often at a live show, right, you have your vocal effects just at your feet, but there's a moment when you can actually automate your vocals, right, to do certain things in a song. And that's what we want to do here, is automate these vocals to be able to turn on. If you have your stereo or headphones on right now, that's going to be showing you that throw left and right. Okay, that's what fade to gray is doing. You can even see what it's doing with this filter, right, coming in on both sides and eventually just disappearing. Okay, so what we want to do is automate this vocal. Let's put this up close to the end. All right. So you guys just kind of cut that out, because at a live show, you're not going to actually want to be moving tracks around, because that actually cut that out. So this is why we're doing this pre-production, so that we can kind of have a good time with this. I am going to now take off all my stop or remove stop buttons. So I'm not going to ever record into this channel at the moment, unless I wanted to live loop. That's how I would do that. And then let's go ahead, Command-Shift-T. In. All right. And let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. So this is a MIDI track. I actually want to make sure this is an audio track so that we have audio sending through, and we're going to make a dummy clip. Command-Shift-T. I'm sorry, Command-T, which is just an audio clip. We're going to go into a mode here. Let's go to just some channel. We want this to come from V1 Live. V1 Live. Now, this is coming through here. Now we have this coming through. It's going to be pretty loud on that side. When I move this, this is really what's sending out, right? To not get a double here going on, I'm going to want to make sure that all of this audio sends through this right here. So this is effects, Vocals. And let's try this out. So we want this audio to go to effects Vocals only. All right. So now this is coming through effects Vocals only. Now this is where we want to take this Will Marshall effects and drop it into the effects Vocals. Now we have it over here. It looks like I might want to put a limiter on. Notice how that's kind of red going off right there. Let's see if I have any limiter on this chain. I don't. So I'll just type in limiter. And at the very end of the chain, I'm going to make this drop by -0.5. So when it hits up at the top, it's going to kind of squash it down a little bit. Let's do a little more. Let's try that squash right there. Look ahead a little bit more. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. So it's still kind of getting a little squashy in there. One way to take care of that would be to bring our gain staging down a little bit in certain locations, right? It looks like I might have a multiple gain staging going on here. Vocal live, 10 up. Let's bring that down a little bit. So now we're getting 0 red. That red there is pretty important to watch out for. You can also have your compressor do some more work over here to bring up the volume and compress it without having to push it too much. So let's just go to nominal there. And it looks like that kind of took care of it, this extra utility here, and then sending it to effects. Did that. So now we're looking at these effects right here. And we want to have a dummy clip put into this area. To create a dummy clip, we need to have a clip that is the length of the effect that we want to go in. So how long is this vocal? Let's go ahead and go to arrangement view, and let's come down here to West Coast Wednesdays. And we already have a vocal effect with a throw automated right here. Okay, this is the fade to gray Will Marshall. And to have this throw happen, let's go ahead and just listen to just this. We'll listen to just this.
West Coast Wednesday.
All right. So that is something that we can now try and throw in. I want to have my fade to gray. Now, what other effect? Looks like there's red right here. So fade to gray has that change on it. Is there anything else that was changed? It looks like there's no other red. Okay. So that's pretty good. We just have that one effect there. Noticing that this isn't really long enough to show me the entire effect, right? Because when I press A, this effect is going longer than my clip. So let's go ahead and do something special here. I'm going to just add to this clip, right? I just take that extra vocal area and I'm going to duplicate this. And now we can join this clip together. Command. Good to know that when you do joining that and you're using the effects or the vocals in Ableton, your voice will cut out. Like I said, certain things you don't want to do at a live show, but you're doing in pre-production. And now we have this length of a track. We're going to go ahead and copy into our effects area. Command V. All right. So now in this channel, we have this long cue point, and we also have a vocal line in here. We can just take that away, right? We're not using the vocals here. We're going to use this dummy clip to change effects. Okay, and I'll be getting into this really quick with you. So Will Marshall effects and fade to gray. All right, so here we are. Will Marshall effects, fade to gray. Notice how it's just all 0 right now. Now on the other side, when I go back into this and press A for the automation, we have this nice clip going up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Notice I'm starting from the very beginning, pressing tab, and I'm coming over here and then pressing paste. And check that out. So now when I play into this next part, it's going to throw my live effects onto the voice that I'm talking to you guys with, right? Instead of it just being the backing vocals having the effect, now the live performer, whether it be a violinist or a DJ speaking, an MC, you can put these in. So here we go. We're going to start this off with the count in. And let's see here. Vocal effects are sending to the master. That's what we want. And then our Q headphones are sending to external 3-4, right? So I do have 3-4 up in your in the mix going live here, so you guys can hear it. Here we go, and stopping all clips. And 4, 3, 2, 1. West Coast Wednesday. All right. Now notice that I'm able to talk after this effect comes through, and that is because I brought it all the way back down. If you leave this coming out, right? If this line right here stays up, your voice won't be clear after that point. So you need to automate that away once you're done. Really important. So we automated that away, and so this actually recorded this onto this channel here. It's a 4-bar recording. I can just like put that in 0 mode. Let's try this one more time. 4, 3, 2, 1. West Coast Wednesday. All right. So we have my voice there, but I actually thought the other vocals were in there, but that's just my live voice. Now this is a spot where it's like, how much do you do live? How much do you loop live? How many effects do you do with your live instrument versus putting effects on your pre-production? Or maybe you just play a track behind certain parts and perform over it, right? It really depends on the artist and what you're going for. One really clear example is that when Javad Butta came into the studio from West Coast rep of Ableton, and when he came in with his, what's his band name? Grand Tapestry, the live set for it, you'd think, this master Abletoner is going to have, a really complex set of a lot of things happening. And it just so happened that he simplified his live set to have a cue, right? I'll show you guys kind of what it looked like here. So he had just one going down right here of all of the backing tracks that he's mixed down to the stereo backing track, right? That he wants, which actually there's a lot of pre-production just to get to that point. And then he had his instrument, the tabla, and his effects right after it. And on the effects channel, it actually had an entire clip of the audio of the song so that he was able to throw the effects at specific moments for the live show. And it's a great way to be able to get away from having to click a pedal down at your feet, is you can experience doing your effects when you want them. All right. So last thing here, I'm going to go ahead and put in my backing vocals, which are not in here yet. So going over to arrangement view, where are we? Pressing A, and here's our arrangement view. And I just want to make sure that these are this area for right now. Well, actually, you know what? These aren't going to loop. So I'll just go select, copy. Notice where you are, vocals 1, 2. And I want to make sure I go to vocals 1, 2. I'm not in the group. I'm going to start right here. Command V. And let's make sure that our loop is in off mode, and it already is. Okay. The reason why these came in saying audio and not vocals is because I didn't name them ahead of time. This is really important information to, if you really want to be organized and not have to rename this again, is to just name your track up front before you record. That's right. I would actually name this, right? V1 West Coast Wednesdays, right? To actually have the name in there fully could help out. West Coast. Huh. That's funny. I don't know why WW. I was thinking West Coast. So WC. That makes sense. Doesn't quite matter, but obviously now I have to change these to be that. Anyway, organizational thing. So let's try this out with all of these tracks going.
4, 3, 2, 1.
West Coast Wednesday. And I can then talk after that. So the reason why I might want to change this a little bit is that this effect, based on what happened, goes super high for the backing ones. I might want to lower these and customize that a little bit down. Okay. I'm going to select all these and simplify envelope. So therefore I can just now easily drop this to where I want to go. And let's try this out. I can just literally click on this one track and talk over the top and see how far it goes. It still makes my voice completely disappear. It was a little bit high right there. Let's go ahead and drop that a little bit more. So this is where we're customizing the exact area of our voice. Let's try that again. Here we are talking, and I want to have the voice come in, but don't disappear just yet and come back to normal. All right. It's about there. So it's giving me that effect that I want. And it might be that fade to gray for this specific, for the live instrument, might not be the same thing as you want for the backing. An example of that is that you might want to have this. I'm going to copy this over, and I'm going to say, let's go into this mode, right? I just click on this right here, and it's showing me my B delay. Let's see what that sounds like here, right? Let's bring this up a little bit. And we have the ability now to then get more of that effect of the back and forth and then cut out right there. It's a little bit long for me as well. I think that I could probably do without it going so long. So let's go ahead and try this out. So we have a little more customization. Now, mixer B delay. Notice how it's changing up right here. You can see the red dot, and it's coming back quicker. Okay. All right. So that's a little bit of customization of that. Go ahead and stop again. We're going to do our click in, right? Our headphones. And 4, 3, 2, 1. West Coast Wednesdays. All right. And that had a little bit more. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit before that. So boom, let's bring that over. And I notice as well, we have a few different effects here that need to be brought over, right? One more time out.
4, 3, 2, 1.
West Coast Wednesdays. And I can talk right about now. So just to kind of know how far that is, right? To really kind of get into that. And right away it turns off. And noticing that the B delay, send delay, is turned off, as well as the fade to gray on this vocal effects. So this is just a simple way to get vocal effects onto your live show. And this is one that, you know, is kind of doing a lot of cue points, right? You really want to be able to click start and stop at the certain moments. But like I said, Javad Butta, he would press start and then cue up all of the different effects at specific moments throughout the entire song. He did have a few songs that were cut up into like a verse, chorus, and then like a bridge jam out. And that bridge jam out would be like looping with the different effects following, and then back in again. So it actually allows you to kind of have that improvisational moment. You just have to know when that is. You might even put that into your area right here and call it, right, improv. And this is where the improv loop might take place, right? And you start bringing in your beats that are just looping around in circles. So you can start doing your effects over the top and start jamming. All right. So this is one that's recording on directly right away. So if I was able to do some types of effects, you can actually come in and put some effects on here as you jam, so that you can do this live and then say, oh, I really like that, or that was too much. And then you can start, you know, customizing that more yourself. Okay, now this is just a dummy clip, so we won't ever hear this, okay? But I also like to just make it look less sometimes. So as I'm playing though, I did a few effects in here and they are automated onto this channel. Look at hand-free. Now we have it. Our beat masher and our fade to gray is out exactly how I did it on the last take. This is a moment where it could be a loop where it is looping. You can see that this is in loop mode right away, right? Because we have our settings are set to go into loop mode right away with the effects, okay? So this is an opportunity to be hands-free, being able to play your instrument and have cool effects happen in the exact moment you want, right? Fade to gray coming on, beat, repeat, and so on and so forth. I hope that this is making sense to you all. I'm going to go ahead and stop my effects. And when I stop my effects, now we have our regular voice. If you stop your effects in a position like fade to gray's up or delay's up, it will stay there actually. So this is really important that you might even want to have an extra channel of just like no effects listed. So you can just click that as your like effects off, and you're sure at your live show that you won't have any accidental effects going on. So I hope this was informative. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And since I can't really get any, I don't know, feeling of a crowd out there too much by doing these shows, I would love to hear from you guys. Email sf@garnishmusicproduction.com. And anytime you guys like and subscribe, this is what it feels like to me. So please like and subscribe and chime in for West Coast Wednesdays. And I'm talking about this every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Wednesday of 2021. I think we've missed only a few, actually. We're doing audio and some video, pre and post-production, mixing and mastering, sound design, beat making. It's not only the Ableton digital audio workstation. We're using Logic and Pro Tools and FL Studios, even GarageBand. We are the masters of all of these different digital audio workstations. We have a huge roster of teachers at this location in the Bay Area and the other 8 locations worldwide. So if you're not in the Bay Area, check out the Garnish Music Network. And if you are in the Bay, go to sf.garnishmusicproduction.com and sign up for a course with us. We have free Beer and Beats night every Tuesday, 6 to 9 p.m. Come meet our community. That's online and in person. It's on meetups.com, Beer and Beats. And what else can I say? I really appreciate you guys and hanging in there through this session. And I hope you guys learned something for your live set, your live show. And we look forward to hopefully using some of this at the November 4th Honey of the Heart and Heather Normandale Leonard Cohen tribute show in San Francisco. Take care.